She's so darling.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah.
There was a hole in our club when she left. In the 40
Yes.
years I've been here, she's probably the neatest exchange student I've experienced.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Rumble.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
Glad to see all these smiling faces. We got about 30 folks on the call today. Probably be adding some more as we go along. I am hopefully some of you guys were able to jump into the rooms before. One of the things I want to highlight for everybody is if you have the ability, go ahead and jump on at noon. David and I have been working on moving everybody into a room when you get on. And the purpose for that is to really get an opportunity to meet some of our newer members, or if people that you haven't seen before, you get a chance to talk to them and just introduce yourself and get to know each other. So when we get back to in person, you'll at least have put a face to a name and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be awesome. I'm going to run through real quick. Let's go ahead and do the invocation. One of our new members, Adam Keel, is going to do the invocation for us. He's a red badge member and Tom is his mentor. So Adam, go ahead and give us the invocation, buddy.
Will do. Thank you. Very nice to meet you all. I'm glad I can join you on this call. So I'm going to go ahead and start. God of creation, we are thankful for this day you have given us, its blessings, its opportunities, its challenges. It's the beginning of a new year and the end of a troubling one. With trouble comes the opportunity for growth. And I reflect on my good fortunes with a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his timeless guidance as his day of remembrance approaches. Use me, God. Show me how to take who I am, who I want to be, and what I can do, and use it for a purpose greater than myself. May we all continue to work towards a better society through service before self. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. That was awesome.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to jump into the four-way test.
Yeah, let me share.
I think we remember it.
Yeah.
And there we go.
All right. Number one, is it the
Is
truth?
the truth?
Number two,
Is
it
it
Fair to all
concerned?
concerned.
Number three, will it build
Build
goodwill and
Goodwill and better
friendships?
friendships.
Number four,
Will it
beneficial to all
beneficial to all
concerned.
concerned.
And number five, will it be
Will
fun?
it be
Will it be
fun?
fun?
Yay.
Yay!
All right. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag of the United
United
States
States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and
liberty
justice
and
for all.
justice for all.
Got to stand for the anthem. It's a choir singing God Bless America. Can you hear some things?
I just know what happens.
Can you hear singing?
Yep. Oops.
All right. Phil.
Beautiful rendition. Thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks, David, for pulling that one up.
Yeah, that was great.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to welcome any of visitors, and I'm going to also include new Rotarians. I mentioned Adam. Adam, if you want to say a few words, and I'll just kind of roll through folks here.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'm Adam. Just moved to the area on December 22nd. I'm really looking forward to being a part of this community. I really like Rotary, Rotaract, Interact. Been involved with them for about a decade now, on and off, and I'm looking forward to continuing to provide more service to my community.
Thanks, Adam. We were in the same room with Adam, so I got a chance to hear him say, Emily, I don't think we've met before.
Here we go. Hello. So I'm Emily Lefferts. I just applied yesterday, so it's the very first meeting. I bought a home in Aurora about a year and a half ago, and I've just kind of been looking for good, meaningful volunteer opportunities. So yeah, I'm also very excited to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. Thanks a lot for joining us today. Let's see. I thought I saw somebody else on here that I was not familiar with. Let me flip through here. Excuse me, guys, for just a minute. Daniel Raffield. I'm not sure we've met before. Maybe we have. If we have, I apologize. Daniel's away from his deal there. Let's see. Anybody else out there that is new or new member or red badge member? Okay. I don't see anybody.
Oh, yeah, Lori Mack is a red badge member.
Oh yeah, there you go. Lori McKenzie. How are you? Lori, go ahead and introduce yourself. I'm not sure some of our members have met you before.
Okay, sure. I think most everybody knows me, but I'm Lori McKenzie. I am the marketing director for Aurora Mental Health Center. And I've been there since March. And prior to that, I worked for the city of Aurora in the communications department for about 15 years.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. If we don't have any other, I don't see any other newbies out there. I don't know if you see any, David, that I might have missed. I'm going to jump into birthdays. I'm not disregarding you guys. I'm just looking at what we got here. Let's see. For this week, I've got Jeff Holler, January 12th. So yesterday, I don't know if Jeff's on, but happy birthday. Curtis Gardner. I thought I saw Curtis on here. January 13th. So today, happy birthday. I'm not seeing any spousal birthdays. Anybody have a spouse that's got a birthday this week?
Yeah, my wife Gina, her birthday is Friday.
Cool. Tell her happy birthday for us, Skip.
All right.
And then no, I'm not seeing any Rotary anniversaries for this week. I might have missed Curtis Gardner, January 8th, and Jeff Holler, January 8th. Both are a year in Rotary, so thank you, gentlemen. And then member birthday, January 14th, Danielle. I know Danielle's on here. Happy birthday, Danielle. Anniversaries, Leo and Michelle Basara, January 13th. Rotary, another Rotary anniversary will be next week. So that's all for this week. Did I miss anybody? I don't see anybody unmuting, so I'm hoping I didn't miss anybody. All right. One of the things I wanted to update you on, I was on a mid-year president's meeting last night, and we had some really good conversations, and there's some grants that are available out there. I don't know if Kimberly is on today. Did you see Kimberly on, David?
No, not yet.
Okay. I'm going to talk to Kimberly. We have access to about $3,000 internationally for international grants and $3,000 local for grants for each club. They have about $98,000 available at the district level for us to have access to. So for those of you that, I know we have the one international project that Joel and Father Kenny spoke about last week. And I want to, I'm going to chat with Kim about pursuing some grant money for that. And then we would be responsible for kind of developing a matching program, which I'm working with Joel and Rob on some ideas on that hopefully we'll be able to share in the next week or so. The objective, I think, initially that Joel was shooting for, and I can't remember if he mentioned this last week, was around $5,000. Rick had asked, what specifically we were looking to try to do there. So for those members that weren't not on that call last week, or if you were, I'm working with those guys to try to determine what our objective and our goal is to pursue that. I'd like to see if we could raise a little bit more than 5. And then if we have the $3,000 international grant, that'll just add into it. So we're going to get specifics on that and have some direction for you guys here in the next couple weeks. Concerning a local grant, if you guys have some ideas on some items, I know we had Blue Star in at the end of last year, and there was some interest from the members. For those of you that may not be familiar, Blue Star Recyclers, they're a group that recycles electronics in the metro area. They also have locations around the country, but their main focus is working with people that are on the autism spectrum, and they work in their facility and basically take apart these electronics and then provide areas to have them recycled. So they're seem like a very good organization and pretty well run. So that could be a possibility, but there's other ideas. And if you guys have ideas as members, please go ahead and share those with either myself or any other board member that you might be familiar. Linda, Tom, Danielle. Danielle, Tom, and I are going to start to do some strategies on some of this stuff. So if you have some ideas, please share with Tom, Danielle, or myself, because we'd really like to get something rolling, not only for this year, but into Danielle's term coming up towards the end of 21 and then into Tom's as well. So please let us know. The other thing that came up on that is May 8th is going to be a day of service. And there can be days of service prior to May 8th. They just want to make sure that all the clubs are kind of committed to something in or around that May 8th timeline. A couple of ideas that were shared was a cleanup project on the Highline Canal. And we would be working with the other Rotary clubs in our area. So Gateway, Fitzsimmons, Smoky Hill, and also Denver Northeast would be some of the clubs that we would be working with to try to achieve a day of service. The other one that came up that got a lot of activity was the Urban Farm. I don't know if Jana, you or Carlin, if you guys are familiar with these guys, but they work with troubled youth, and they have a farm, and they do a bunch of activities to support sounds like young teenagers or younger kids out there, trying to build them up. And so that sounded like an interesting one. And that would be basically a cleanup project where you go out and help them clean up the area and work together to do that. So those are some thoughts that came out. So kind of keep that in mind. If you guys have an idea of a service project that we could all, or a portion of us or percentage could be involved with, please share that with Danielle or I, and we will bring that up the line. Any questions about any of that stuff?
Phil, I don't have a question, but I do have to let you know that the foundation is going to be working their budget proposals up sometime in the next month, and will you as a member of that board will get notification of that. But you might pass it out to the general club membership if anybody feels like they'd like to join the discussion for the foundation budget. They'd be more than welcome.
Do you have a date on that, Rick?
Kimberly and I and Ryan are just working on it. Ryan and I have worked with John and developed a preliminary proposed budget to put out there, and Kimberly will be setting that date soon.
Okay, awesome. All right, Linda, did you have any updates that you wanted to cover?
No, nothing for today, Phil.
Okay. One of the things Linda sent me, and I'm gonna send this over to you. There's a video series that some of the Rotary clubs in the area had put on to thank healthcare workers. And so I will send that over to you, Donna, just as a kind of an update, but it's a pretty interesting deal. There's a lot of Rotary clubs that did it. And I'm not sure, Linda, I did not hear, I was on one of the calls, but I did not hear how that got distributed. I saw a bunch of the videos, but I didn't know how to get distributed.
I found it in the district newsletter, and so I took it from there and I looked at it and I thought, it's pretty worthwhile to watch.
Yeah.
So if you go to 5450 district, it's there.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. And then today I wanted to also give Jana from Sister Cities an opportunity to give us an update on what they have cooking for 2021. So Jana, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Great. So Carlin and I created a little presentation. It's very short, I promise. It's not too long. Can you all see this okay? Let's see. Perfect. Yay. Yep. David was very helpful with helping me with this, so thank you again. So, okay.
Well, we just wanted to get started. We'll introduce ourselves just for the newer members who may not know us. I think everyone knows us so far, but I'm Carlin. I'm the executive director of an organization here locally called Aurora Sister Cities International. And we've been members of the Rotary Club since probably about July 2018. And yeah. Jana, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself. Pretty much know.
Yeah, I'm Jana Clark, program coordinator. We're a small but mighty team of just 2 people. So we make a lot of things happen and it's a lot of fun.
So we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about what we did in 2020 and what we're doing in 2021 to kind of pivot through the COVID crisis. For most of you know, we're a relatively small nonprofit organization focused on cultivating exchange in the areas of youth, culture, education, and industry best practices. We've been around since 2015, or actually since 2014, my apologies. And I came on board in 2015. But 2020 was a really interesting year for us because as you all probably already know, we focus a lot on exchange programming, which means a lot of travel is involved in our programs. So we're just going to talk a little bit today about what we've been doing to support our local community in the last 8 months. You can change the slide, Jana. So one of the really things, so when COVID kind of hit end of February, beginning of March, and everything shut down, we had a number of youth and adult travel education exchange programs planned, and we had to cancel everything. And once we had some time to regroup and figure out what we were going to do in 2020 and beyond, we decided both organizationally and through these committees that we run, our sister cities committees, that we were going to try to pivot to better serve our local community. So one of the really big accomplishments in 2020 that we achieved, and you guys might have heard about this too when Chancellor Yuchi came and presented as well, is that we launched an initiative called the Food Kitchen Collective. And we were able to provide over 1,000 bags of fresh food and 500 PPE kits to our local community. One of the neat things that was unique about this particular food drive was that we worked to provide more culturally relevant or culturally appropriate resources throughout the community that we serve. We have pretty deep relationships within for example, the Korean community and the Ethiopian community, and they, may shop at different kinds of grocery stores, might, when they're short of food, may not purchase bread, but may purchase rice, for example, instead of, as a staple item. And so we got some sponsorships from H Mart and M Mart, and we're actually able to provide a very diverse range of food options for our multicultural community around the Havana Business Improvement Corridor. Another thing we were able to do is provide 100 bags of halal food. So that was, we worked with another nonprofit that works primarily with a group of community members who are Muslim, and we were able to provide halal appropriate groceries for those individuals who came and picked up bags. Part of the really neat thing about the Food Kitchen Collective is that the idea was not just to run a food drive. The idea was to support our local businesses on Havana Street while doing so. So we, the Food Kitchen Collective, we basically went out, sought sponsorships, got donations, and then we bought food from some smaller businesses on the Havana Improvement Corridor. And it was really fun to do this. It was really neat to do this because a lot of the bigger grocery stores like H Mart sponsored us because they knew they're trying to support the small businesses as well. So we were able to go and buy then some food that would be packaged from more mom and pop restaurants along the Havana Improvement Corridor. And then we also worked with some immigrant refugee serving organizations and a couple of other nonprofits like WeCycle to be able to provide diapers and items for children. So it was really, really neat that we were able to help out some struggling restaurants and other retailers on the Havana Business Improvement District Corridor. What was also really neat is that we engaged 89 volunteers, and they all total provided about 232 hours of their time. So the value of what all these people gave us was pretty incredible. And so some of the pictures you're seeing are some of our volunteers. Right up front, of course, we got Mayor Kaufman, who was there helping us out one day. We've got a picture down below that we basically filled up the entire first floor of the Stampede with grocery bags. And then we just have some really fun, neat photos of some of the food that we handed out.
Yes, I think we actually handed out 12,000 individual rice noodle packets. So some people got to try new Korean food. So the best part about my job is running our Global Youth Leader program. Typically, it's an interactive week-long program, camp, for kids 13 to 15, and it's very physically and mentally interactive. Since we couldn't do that this year, we transitioned into a virtual program, changed up all of our curriculum and ideas, and actually made it more relevant to what students are going through today. So we still had 2 cohorts of students graduate from that program. And what makes that program kind of unique is that it's a pipeline to actually send students overseas to international youth conferences, or even if they can't travel, they can actually be referred to national conferences such as RILA and some other neat programs too. To keep kids engaged, we actually had 5 different volunteer projects between Flower Power, the Food Kitchen Collective. Our students packaged about 600 bags of PPE. And they also created kind kits, which were like encouragement kits to healthcare workers, homeless, and immigrants as well. We also volunteered over 200 hours at the Village Exchange Food Pantry. Actually, the middle photo is 2 of our students with some of the food bags that they packaged. So we really tried to keep them engaged with getting out of the home. Not all of the kids come from great homes. So being able to pick them up and provide safe volunteer opportunities was really important to us. We also had online activities too, where they created social media campaigns about their passions, which included mental wellness, injustice, Black Lives Matter, and other international issues. So kids came to the table with some really neat ideas about what they wanted to bring awareness to and solve. So these kids are incredibly creative, and it was just really neat to see their ideas and kind of help keep them rolling with their passions as well. So yeah, we hopefully can meet in person this year. That's our plan, but if not, we have some good backups planned as well. One thing that we're also currently doing is we are engaging with our sister city of Songnong, South Korea. It's pretty much the Aurora of Seoul. It's like the southeastern city of Seoul. So in the fall, we actually had a Korean and Colorado college student exchange where we shared ideas about what life is like in America during COVID and what it's like in Korea and all the differences there, along with the election and other just more live questions that were being asked and shared. Those students actually still connect with each other on this one Korean chat app. So they're still actually exchanging ideas, thoughts, and have plans to actually visit each other when travel does become available. We actually have a high school virtual program with Songnong that starts this Friday. So we hope to continue doing that and then adding more cities and countries to our virtual exchange, which has been really interesting. So it's been great.
So some other upcoming projects. So for those of you who don't know or are not as familiar with our organization, we're a sister cities program, which means kind of the umbrella of our organization is that we kind of foster these relationships between the city of Aurora and other cities abroad. So Songnam City, for example, is one of our sister cities. Each sister city relationship that we have actually is fostered. We help foster the relationship through these committees of volunteers. So each sister city relationship has a corresponding committee of volunteers that work on initiatives around that sister city relationship. Again, because of the inability to travel and do exchange programming, a couple of our committees have really been trying to also figure out how to pivot. And one of the really neat things that our Korea committee has done to help support local efforts, well, first of all, the Food Kitchen Collective, the idea came out of the Korea committee, but also another idea that came out of the Korea committee and that we're focusing on to help local businesses is this Koreatown virtual branding initiative. So a lot of people already know, locals know to go, if you want good Korean food, you come to Aurora. There's a particular area in Aurora that people always go to, either shop Korean groceries and markets or to go eat really good Korean food. A lot of those businesses are owned by very, kind of mom and pop businesses. They may not be as knowledgeable about how to brand or get the word out about their restaurants. And with the COVID crisis, obviously a lot of them are struggling. So what the Korea committee has decided to do is to raise money and take over. There had been a group that started this Koreatown Aurora branding initiative, and they came to us and asked us if we would help take over the branding initiative, raise the money, and create a brand for Koreatown Aurora. What that will most likely look like in the few months is, for example, branding it with a logo and elements and designs, having a website, and then longer term raising money to actually be able to market, the Koreatown businesses. So a really, really neat way to try to support some of these smaller business owners and also get the word out that the best Korean food. I don't know if you guys read Westward magazine. A while back, they published an article that said, the best Korean food in Denver, top 10 best Korean restaurants in Denver, and 9 out of the 10 were in Aurora. So when people talk about Korean food in Denver, it actually means that they're coming to Aurora to, go to the Tofu House or, Daegi is one of the larger ones. He's a chain now, but there's some really, incredible Korean food out here. So it's a really neat thing that the Korea committee has decided to do while we're kind of at a standstill as far as travel activities are concerned and exchange activities are concerned. Another thing that's going to be happening in 2021, fingers crossed, is we are still raising funds and have a group of students who we are planning to take to our sister city of Yaco, Costa Rica. So I'll have Jana talk to you guys a little bit more about that. Obviously, it's in our budget, but we just don't know how the COVID crisis, we're just being optimistic. So if things aren't changing by June, we might revisit that and have to postpone the trip again. But our students are still actively fundraising to be able to pay for their trip to Costa Rica. Do you want to say anything else about it, Jana?
Sure, just very briefly. I know we're on a time crunch, but our students have done a great job fundraising, putting a lot of effort into raising funds for travel scholarships for themselves. It's a 2-week-long exchange where they'll be doing a lot of community service and then also working on mental wellness as well. So they're giving back, but then also learning about how to take care of themselves as well. So it's a really neat, hopefully 2-week program, and fingers crossed COVID. I don't know, we can do something about that. I think people in Costa Rica are already getting the vaccine, so they might be fine. I don't know if we will be, but time will tell.
So thank you all for your time and letting us do this little presentation and update on sister cities. Does anyone have any questions? I know we actually have a presentation today, but if you have any questions, you can maybe chat with Jana and I on the chat box or send us an email or call us or talk to us. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carlin and Jana. Any questions out there from anybody? You can unmute and ask if you'd like. Hey, I just want to thank you guys and your team. Part of the reason I personally wanted to hear what you guys were doing is just all the, I know you guys have been active, and thanks for all your efforts with small business and supporting the youth. And sounds like you guys have had even under the current conditions, you've had some really successful results. So thanks for doing what you guys do. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, one other thing I wanted to mention real quick before we get into our presenter is February 3rd is our target date to get back to hybrid, where we're doing some Zoom and we're also meeting at the Radisson. So I'm working with Kimberly to get that set up and kind of reestablish our contract with the Radisson. So for those of you that are willing and able, we'll still continue to do the Zoom for the foreseeable future, but we will also be meeting in person for those of you that would like to do that. So we'll keep you abreast of what that looks like, but just want to give you a heads up that we're working towards that. All right, our presenter today is our very own Tom Klein. Tom's going to talk a little bit about his project, Argenta, which is, for those of you that are new, it's first in Havana. It's the old fanfare location for some of our members that have been around a while. And then he's also got some updates on some of the other projects that are going on in Aurora. So Tom, I'm going to hand it off to you, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thanks, Phil. And can you see my presentation?
Not yet.
Okay, hit the share screen. Okay.
Can see you.
There you go.
How about that?
You got it.
Right.
Does that work? Okay. So my project is called Argenta. It is at 3rd and Havana. And I think I've been working on this ever since I've been in Rotary clubs. So I used to have a lot more hair than I do now. But we're pretty excited about where we're at. It's the old fanfare project. And it started out as a farm many, many years ago. It was a sugar beet farm and alfalfa farm until 1953. And then the Ryder family bought the property, and the Ryders are fairly well known for early development in Denver. So they had this notion of building this indoor shopping mall. And this is a picture of kind of what the supermarket looked like. And then I don't know who those people are. I'm not related to any of them, but that is the fanfare building. And you can see that there's not a lot of development around there. So that was 3rd and Havana without a lot of stuff around it. So they opened it up in 1961, and unfortunately it didn't do well, and they closed it in 1965. And they were stuck with these mushroom buildings. And I think anybody who's been around Aurora for a long time remembers those mushroom buildings. And for the life of the project, it was bought by Western Electric, which was part of AT&T, and they manufactured telephones in there until 1992, when they closed down. And then it was bought by a private owner, and he realized that those buildings were full of asbestos and he didn't know what to do with it. So it sat empty for many, many years and the property deteriorated. And then in 2012, the Aurora Urban Renewal Authority bought the project from him and tore down the buildings and remediated all the asbestos. And then we got involved in 2017 when there was an RFP that was issued by the Urban Renewal Authority. We got selected as the developer. And then in 2019, we actually purchased that property and a couple of small restaurants and a gas station on the corner. So we own everything on 3rd and Havana now. And so this is what we think we're going to do. We're going to be building some 2 apartment buildings, 86 townhomes, and then we will have some retail on Havana Street. And so 86 townhomes, 200 apartments, 20,000 square feet of retail, and 35,000 square foot urban park in the middle of our project. So we hope that it'll become kind of an entertainment area where people can gather and we can have events for the city and work with the Havana bid district and have some things happening on site. And then this is what our site plan looks like. The back here is the townhomes, the 86 townhomes, and they'll probably be about 1,600 square feet and probably range from $425,000 to $450,000 a piece. And we should be getting started with those towards the end of the year. Right now we're doing our infrastructure. I'm sure everyone's noticed that we have big piles of dirt and big pipes going in. And so we're putting in all the sewer pipes, the streets and all that needs to be done in order to build buildings. And then we're going to have 2 apartment buildings in the middle of the project with the park in between. Those apartments will be about 200 units. And then a little bit of retail on Havana Street. And of course, with COVID and the changes in retail, we're not quite sure what that's going to look like. If you want to make God laugh, make a plan. And so we had a plan, but we're not quite sure if that's the plan that we're going to be able to follow through on. So we used something called tax increment financing. And this is a way for blighted areas and areas that are associated with urban renewal authorities to help put in the infrastructure for the project, because we couldn't afford to put in all that infrastructure if we had to fund it ourselves. So the state law empowers urban renewal authorities to allocate TIF financing, which stands for tax increment financing. And a TIF is a calculation of future tax revenues on the project after the development is finished. So they take all the property and sales tax revenues that are forecasted for the project and they come up with a number. And then that increment is used to pledge for municipal bonds by a special district. So we have a special district that went out and sold bonding against future tax revenues, and that provides us with the source of money to put in the streets, the sewers, the fresh water and drainage costs. So we were finally able to sell the bonds in the fall. COVID had affected the project from a standpoint of being able to go to market. The financial markets were a little bit in turmoil, but we finally were able to get it done in fall of 2020. So we've got a lot more activity that we're doing right now. And like I said, we're going to start a building on Havana, which will be a small apartment building. And then we'll be building the 86 townhomes towards the back, towards the west side, probably latter part of this year. So we're excited that we're finally financed and got things underway. And we think it's going to be a great project. And we'll probably be built out sometime late 2022 if everything goes right. So that's kind of what I've been doing and will be doing for the next few years. But I wanted to talk a little bit about other projects that use the TIF method, because you've probably seen them around town. One of them is The Point, which is the King Supers project over there at I-225 and Parker. You've probably seen the King Supers go in, which was built about a year ago, and that's the Coble family that's doing that. And as you can see, there's a lot more planned for the project. There's a lot of urban type of townhomes, apartments. They're actually thinking about doing a high-rise building, and they're actually going to build a bridge over Parker Road so that you can access it from the light rail station. You won't have to worry about people crossing armed traffic. So, and there's also some affordable housing that they're going to be building over there. So that this building here is the affordable housing that they're going to be putting in. So it's an exciting project. I think they're a little bit not quite sure when they're going to be doing the rest of it. I think the King Supers has been well received, and they're generate a lot of sales tax revenue, but I don't know when the apartments and the office building will go in. I would suspect that the apartments will be happening fairly soon because of the market conditions. So anyway, that's another TIF deal that the Urban Renewal Authority has been working on. And then we have the Metro Center, which is downtown Aurora, which is a huge parcel of ground off of Alameda and Sable and Chambers that's been empty forever. And that is got 4 special districts that will be doing the TIF on. And it's going to probably get started with what's going on at 13th and Sable by the light rail station. And they've got big ideas. They're going to be doing probably about 500 apartments, a couple hundred hotel rooms, and a lot of tall office buildings. So I know that the developer there, I think he's still a long way from getting started, but it's very ambitious. And I hope that maybe I can help him with a little bit of the a multifamily over there. But this project's been going on for, I think, the last 25 years. It was always been considered the new downtown of Aurora. And I hope that he's able to get it off the ground, because it would be a big boom for that area. And then finally, I wanted to talk about the Stanley Marketplace, which is also a TIF deal. And I don't know if you've been to the Stanley or not, but it's kind of a cool and hip place there by Stapleton. It's there at basically 23rd and Dallas, and it's been opened for at least a couple of years now. And it's got a lot of restaurants and food courts and some retail. And I think it's a great place to hang out. And it's also really opened up Aurora to the Stapleton neighborhood, or I guess I shouldn't call it Stapleton anymore, the Central Park neighborhood. And I don't know if you've noticed in the last few years, but the streets have been opened between the Central Park neighborhood and Aurora. So you're getting a lot of traffic back and forth. And I think it's good for the city and also for just integrating it into the grid here. And there are at least 2 residential projects that are going to be happening. The Stanley Residential, which is about 100 apartments, will be happening over in one of the vacant parking lots. If you go over to the Stanley, you'll notice that there's a lot of overflow parking. And one of those lots is going to become, I think, about 100 units of luxury apartments. So that should be getting started probably late this year, with the finish probably 2 years from now. And then the other project that's actually happening now is what they call the Heights at Westerly Creek. And that's the old tow yard close to the Stanley. And if you were to drive around the Stanley, you would see that there is actually construction going on. And this is a high-rise luxury condo deal. So something new for the Aurora neighborhood there. And then finally, and I don't have any slides on it because nothing's been submitted to the city yet, but the large shopping center there at 17th and Clinton that is very empty and nothing is going on, that is going to get redeveloped here soon. I know that they had a plan to put in a big AMC movie theater, but I don't think that's going to happen anymore with the movie theater business the way it is. But it will be another high density project of probably 400 or 500 apartments. So there's a lot going on using this TIF financing. It's a great tool to get infrastructure into the ground and help developers get some things done. So that's my story for now. Any questions?
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
How many of the units that are being built, Tom, are considered affordable housing?
I don't have any affordable housing on my project. I know that the Point has maybe 100 units, and neither one of the ones by the Stanley are affordable. I do know that the downtown project, that will have some affordable housing in the Metro Center. And I'm actually talking to Bill Parkhill about maybe doing some of that myself, helping him out doing that.
Cool.
So it's certainly affordable housing is a big need. There's no question about it.
Bill, looks like Bill has a question. Go ahead, unmute Bill. There you
Dime, I
go.
just wanted to say for all of us in the community, we're awfully proud of you and happy for what you're doing. It'll really, really, I think, make a bold statement for Aurora, for that part of Havana. And we're just happy to have it come along. Thanks for all you've done. I know it's been brain damaging and tough on you, but
yes,
thank you.
Well, thank you, Bill. We're excited about it, and Aurora is becoming has always been an attractive place to live, but I think it's an undiscovered gem, and we're very, very looking very forward to being successful out there.
Hey, Tom, a little personal experience there. The Fanfare building, I did an internship with AT&T in that building in the mid 80s. And one of the things I remember vividly, the security guys used to go nuts because skateboarders would get on that building and skateboard on the top of that building.
On the top of the building. Oh,
yeah. So they'd be going on the loops. You'd hear them on, if you were working in there, you could hear them. So security guys would be running around out there trying to get them off the roof.
Holy smokes.
Hey, Tom?
Yeah.
A question on the New King Supers development there at 225 in Parker.
Yeah.
You mentioned building a passenger walkway from that project over to the RTD parking building.
Yeah.
Are there plans to expand that parking over there? Because I know right now, well, maybe not right now, but during normal non-COVID times, that building, that parking is usually full.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't think there's any plans to expand the RTD parking. I would wonder if maybe they'll have some parking where people could actually walk over to the light rail station from the other side of Parker.
You have actually expanded parking for the RTD on that lot, on the north lot.
That might be.
That probably makes more sense.
Yeah. So, yep.
Okay. But great. I wasn't aware you were in that many areas.
Well, I know those are not all my projects, but that's just the TIF that's being used around town.
Right, but that's impressive.
Yeah, the Urban Renewal Authority does a great job.
Any other questions out there? I'm not, I can't see everybody's hand. So if you want to ask a question, just go ahead and unmute.
Yeah, Tom, it's just, I know we already had the question about the affordable housing, and it's interesting to me because it sounds like there's really, percentage-wise, not that much. Is there any requirement with those funds to include some affordable housing?
No. So the TIF financing doesn't require affordable housing. We did have to get our project approved by City Council, and that was over 2 years ago. And I can tell you that it's a different environment today than when I got started. But at the time that we were doing it, affordable housing in 2017 wasn't an issue.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This is Carlin. I'll pop into by the Stanley Marketplace. They just finished an affordable housing project on Peoria and 30th too, with 250 or 280 units.
Okay, 30th and Peoria. Yeah, that's the housing authority. Yep.
All right. Any other questions?
So one question, Tom, this is John Wolfkill. I wonder, given the close location to the Community College of Aurora's Lowry campus, to the development, I'm curious if there are thoughts or ideas of ways with all of those individuals and families being right there, really almost a walking distance, if there are thoughts or things that how we could be a good partner to the development, and something that maybe you and I, or eventually as we have a new president that comes in sometime in the summer or early fall, as Betsy's retiring this July, might be a good conversation. I'm sure people would be open to.
Oh, sure. We'd love to talk to you, John.
Hey, John, are you working out of the library, buddy?
I'm working out of my basement. Yeah, so a lot of books just all stored in boxes of old toys that we keep around for when we have friends that come over with younger kids. My wife's degrees behind me, not mine. These are my wife's. So
I see the Dr. Seuss books up there.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan. But there's also fun things like some of my old toys, a dino. This is an official Transformer, a Dinobot. Pretty cool.
Good deal.
John, you got that last year, right?
Yeah.
Any other questions out there? And then one of our new member, Emily, is inviting everybody to come have a beer with her in a social distance manner over at the Stanley Marketplace that Tom just mentioned. So looks like we got a bunch of takers. All right. Okay, I don't think I'm seeing any other questions. Yeah, Paul, go ahead.
I'm going to be sending out a sign up for invocations for the quarter. So if you'll please consider signing up for that and sending it back to me. I'll get the secretary to do that for me.
Okay. Paul, Linda's not on, so you may want to just email her once you get ready. Or the other option too is there may be a way you may want to ping Kimberly as well. We may be able to set something up on Club Runner that'll send it out and people can sign up that way too, if you're interested.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks for doing that, Paul. All right. I think that's about it. Tom, really appreciate you giving us that update and taking the time to do that. And I want to thank everybody. Carlin, Jana, thanks again for the Sister Cities update. Really appreciate that. And we will call it a meeting. We'll see everyone next week and have a great rest of your week, and everybody stay safe. Thank you.
Great to see you all. Thanks,
Thank you.
Tom.
Everybody, thanks.
Thanks, Phil. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Sheila. Bye, everyone. Bye,
Bye,
Doug.
When everybody leaves, it sounds like popcorn on my end.
Thank you for all you do, David. Appreciate you.
I'm glad we can see each other this way.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to end the meeting. See you guys soon.